understanding what your revenue is. And so those terms to them, is the challenge for me is really finding ways to put that in layman's terms for 10 years old, right? Because they're not learning that. But as a business owner, it's important to know your numbers. So it's trying to help them understand that, if mommy goes and spend $100 on your products, on your beads and all the things that you need, and then you go out and only make, $50, then what is your return on your investment, right? So it's helping them understand that when you're going out and you're selling, you have to know how much it costs to actually buy your product, how much money you've made, and the difference is what your return is.
Malik's First Job Podcast, here to answer any questions that y'all ask. Financial literacy and resources. Parents and young people becoming bosses. CEOs, future leaders, entrepreneurs. Conferences and boardrooms getting sponsors secured. If you want generational wealth, Brooklyn's own Kerwin Phillip with information to help. Malik's First Job Podcast. Malik's Podcast. Brooklyn's own Kerwin Phillip. Kerwin Phillip. Malik's First Job Podcast. Brooklyn's own Kerwin Phillip. Generational wealth.
Greetings, everyone. How you doing? This is Kerwin Phillip again with another episode of the Malik's First Job Podcast, where we focus on leadership, entrepreneurship, and financial literacy for parents and teens. Today, we have a great guest. We have Miss Danielle Gilbert. She is the CEO of Manifest in You Consulting, where she evaluates, elevates, and equips small to medium-sized employers with valuable human resources to minimize risk, avoid lawsuits, and save thousands of dollars. She is also the visionary leader of the Gilbert Group, which is a conglomerate of different businesses, which consists of M Creative Arts, which is a business owned by her daughters, Gilbert Transportation, Creative Designs by Danielle, Galas By Gilbert Travel, Galas By Gilbert Event Planning, and Women Can Inspire Too. She's also a professor at Virginia Union, where she teaches a class on employee relations. She's also a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Incorporated, right? So, and there's a whole list of other things that's in her bio that we could probably sit here for like another 2 or 3 hours if I spend time to read it. So we're just going to jump right into it. Say greetings, Danielle. How you doing today? And, we're glad to have you on.
Greetings, and thank you for having me. And I know that was a whole lot to read, so I appreciate the abbreviation of it.
Oh, yeah, I had to condense it down. Like I said, the rest of us on the planet got 24 hours in a day, but I'm not sure how much you're working with, because you may have probably like 48 hours in your days. I'm not sure how you cram all this stuff in to like a regular 24 hours.
Yes, it's a lot, but with focus and dedication, it all gets done.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And I didn't even add in there that you're a mother and a wife and all that other stuff. So it's like, wow.
Yes, it's a lot.
Wow. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So kind of take us back. So all this stuff that you do, it's like a lot of different entrepreneurship endeavors. So when did you first get bit by the entrepreneurship bug?
Wow. That's a good question. So I'm gonna actually take you back to 2013. Okay. So 2013, I actually I was working in corporate America, and I got into I'm in human resources. So Manifest in You Consulting is a human resources organization that helps other small to medium-sized companies with HR. But before I actually started to consulting, I had individuals who always wanted resumes done. Okay. Or I would serve on a board because someone needed some HR expertise. Then I would help individuals find jobs. And typically, because I was in corporate and healthcare, as an HR director, I would help individuals get jobs within the healthcare industry. Okay. So what happened was I started a company. It was actually called Manifesting You. So what I actually wanted to do prior to starting that is I wanted to open a youth center. Okay. And that youth center was driven by the idea of helping other young individuals really learn the basics of what skills needed or would be needed for the 21st century. So back then, if you remember, it was all about what soft skills, what skills will people that people need to get into corporate America or just get a career, period. So with that being said, I didn't have thousands or millions of dollars to open a youth center. So I came up with the concept to say, okay, I can help by offering my services around resumes and mock interviews. So I started to do resumes, mock interviews, training, and the company was Manifesting You because it was more individualized.
Right.
So at that time, I wasn't ready to jump out on my own. So I continued my career in healthcare as an HR director up until 2018. But prior to that, 6 months prior to me, actually, as I would tell people, I fired my boss and became my own boss. I actually had many individuals asking me to help them, like really come and be their HR person on a consulting basis. And I knew that I didn't have the time or the bandwidth to do that. But because of the circumstances and the way that God just led me January 19th of 2018 to really amend the name of my company to Manifesting You Consulting, it allowed me to truly be able to step into the entrepreneur industry.
Okay, beautiful, beautiful. And I guess first starting out, I guess you had people approaching you. How were you able to expand your client base?
Yeah, so the way that I did that was really word of mouth. It was really me going out, sharing, and I think it actually more than word of mouth. It was actually individuals knowing that I was in HR, looked at me as being the HR expert or the guru in their eyes. And it was like, Danielle, I know you do this. So when I announced that I was starting my own consulting business, it was literally just by word of mouth, people knowing who I am, knowing what I do, understood that I had a true gift to go out and help them with HR. It really allowed me to just know for sure that it was meant to be.
Okay. Now, there's plenty of people who, I guess, aspire or dream of firing their boss, but they're a little apprehensive because they're scared. No, I guess from a fair standpoint, like how did you overcome that? Did you go through a period of uneasiness and self-doubt that you felt you couldn't take that leap? And what was the final straw to make you say, you know what, I'm going to do it anyway?
Whew, that's a loaded one right there. So what happened was that right before I left, I began to have a little anxiety and I began to truly say, okay, is what it's meant to be? And throughout the process, I wanted to actually find another job or career. And what happened was every time I would go apply for another role, I would get a phone interview. So I knew I was able to sell myself on paper. But then I would also get a call back and say, hey, you're either overqualified or we've gone a different route. So what that was telling me is that I needed to be still. I needed to, because that wasn't God's plan for me. And I mean, I know that I had the skill set. I know that I had the knowledge and the experience. So it really was around what am I supposed to do? So with that being said, when I made that leap of faith, I ensured that I had things in order. So when we think about how do you take that leap of faith, it's not about going out and just saying, I'm going to fire my boss, but it's putting those plans or that plan in place and have a strategy to say, if you do this, how would you survive, right? How would you go about making sure that you have everything in order? So doing that, it still gave me a lot of anxiety. And actually, for the first year, I didn't have a lot of traction or momentum in my business because I really was like, what am I doing? And I often ask myself, was this the right thing that I should be doing? So it actually led me into a place of going through a depression because my job was actually my identity. So I went through a self-identity, self-crisis of trying to figure out how do you shift from being in corporate to being on your own, trying to identify exactly how to be an entrepreneur. So the
Right.
first year was really about learning myself and getting out of the deep depression, that it was okay because that job wasn't what made me. I was Danielle Monique Gilbert prior to that job. So it
Right.
was me having those self-talks to say, this is what I need to do.
Right. Right. And I know plenty of entrepreneurs go through that same, I guess, depression because again, this, to starting off, you envision it going one way, but then the reality of it is like, hey, this is not, it's harder than what I thought it was, you know. So, I guess, how were you able to pull yourself out of that depression?
One of the main things was really around gathering around individuals who had already been in the entrepreneur space, but
Okay.
also getting a mentor. And what I like to tell people, if you are the smartest person in the room, that's a problem.
Right.
So I didn't want to be the smartest person in the room. I just wanted to be around others who had the expertise to help me, encourage me, guide me, even pray with me, right? And just say,
Right.
Danielle, you got this. And so, I remember going to, she's one of my good friends now, but going to someone who was a coach and
Mm-hmm.
was in the space and was like, Danielle, you got this. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you have the knowledge, the skills, and the abilities. You
Right.
understand what it means to be in business. You are professional. You have the skill set. You have the credentials. And there's no need why you are sitting back, in your feelings. Get up, and I need you to
Mm.
go get it. And when I had that pep talk, is what I call it, I
Right.
definitely went out and started to put things in motion and
Right.
really gain traction within my business.
Right. Right. People don't realize how important that your circle is to you, right?
Mhm.
Being surrounded by people that's going to push you, motivate you, help you get to that next level. Because again, when you're fighting that stuff within yourself, you need somebody to kind of negate that self-talk that's going on in you and to get you motivated. Right?
Absolutely.
Yes, yes,
Absolutely.
yes. So talking about entrepreneurship, I know that I guess it's in your DNA and it's been transferred down to your daughters. Now,
Yes.
we first met through the Youth Business Exchange, where your daughters were participating in the Richmond Children's Business Fair, and to kind of talk about your daughters, it's called M&M Creative Arts. That's the
Mhm.
business.
Yes.
The owners, your two daughters, are Mariah and Mackenzie, right?
Yes.
And they've been doing this for several years. Now, oftentimes when we speak about youth entrepreneurs, we focus in on the youth entrepreneurs. But today I want to talk about that support system that that those youth have to fall on, which are the parents, right?
Mhm.
So tell us about your journey in getting your children started in entrepreneurship. Like what got them started?
The actual business youth fair.
Okay.
So what happened was that one day, I think I saw it on Facebook. I saw the flyer and it was like, hey, we're looking for youth entrepreneurs. And
Okay.
so they, the girls, Mackenzie and Mariah, they came to me and was like, hey, I want to start a business. And I was like, because I said, hey, there's an opportunity. I wish you all had a business and there's an opportunity for y'all to go be at a youth fair, but y'all don't have a business. And so they
Right.
said, well, can't we create one? You have one.
Okay.
So I was like, oh, okay. So I had to think about the skill set that they both possess, right? What
Right.
are they good at? And so Mariah is my creative daughter who is all about drawing. I mean, from the age of 2, she could draw in the lines. She can look at you and literally draw you.
Okay.
She took like paper towels and made a rabbit out of paper towels. Like, so when I say creativity, it was just an understatement. And then Mackenzie is one who likes to build. So she's more about with your Legos and
Okay.
she loves to read. Both of them love to read. So I really had to say, what could I do? And then they was like, oh, we can make jewelry. And I was like, okay. So M&M Creative Arts literally was birthed out of the idea of wanting them to be a part of the youth business fair.
Okay.
So we were there the first year when it was at the Science Museum. And
Right.
at that time, they literally just was making bracelets.
Okay.
And over time, they have developed and added different products, such as like slime was a hot thing.
Right.
And then me being who I am and me trying to make sure that they maximize their ability to like sell and connect and understand what true wealth and legacy looks like, I began to add different things to their business. So recently, we launched last year, actually during the pandemic, their own lip gloss line called Double Sassy Lip Gloss.
Okay.
Then we did their t-shirt line, which was called Twin Life, which we recently just got the trademark for that. So Twin Life is definitely trademark, and I'm super excited about that. So
Congrats.
I have just put all of those things in motion for them to be successful, but also to set them up so that when they get, if they decide to say, hey, mom, they both want to go to college, but after college and even during college, they decide that I don't want to go work a 9 to 5. Right. They have options. And that's one thing that I didn't realize I had when I was growing up, that I was told I had to go to college, I had to get my degrees, and I needed to go work a 9 to 5, climb the corporate ladder, and I need to make 6 figures. That's what I was told. Mm-hmm. That's not what I wanted to teach my children. And not that it's right, wrong, or indifferent. My perspective on life, being in corporate for over 18 years and being able to be blessed with 2 beautiful daughters, and they are my legacy, I needed to make sure that I set them up for success, to know that your loyalty doesn't lie within a company, but your loyalty will lie within your own company because you have the option to build that company the way you desire.
Right.
Malik's First Job, Financial Principles for Teens, is an excellent resource to get your children started on understanding the basics of financial literacy. This book, which is set in Brownsville, Brooklyn, about a young man who gets his first job and then shortly thereafter sits down with his dad to learn how to manage his money. There are several topics that are covered within this work, such as paying yourself first, disciplining your spending, knowing the difference between an asset and a liability, creating multiple sources of income, as well as the importance of being charitable. So again, if you want to get your children started on understanding finance and becoming responsible adults, we highly recommend that you purchase the book, Malik's First Job, Financial Principles for Teens. So please visit maliksfirstjob.com to get more information. Peace.
Right. Now, how old were they when they got started?
Ooh, what is that? Was like 3 years? I feel like it was 5. They were.
I think this year was our 5th year doing it. So
yeah.
about
so
5
okay.
years ago.
So 5 years ago. Yeah. I was about to say, because they was part of the very first one. So and they so wow, that's been a long time. Yeah. So 5 years ago, they started their company. They've been in business 5 years. I didn't even realize that. But yeah, and then I think the other part of it too, where they've come to me and they saw that I was an author. So when I had left corporate, I released my first book called The Unspoken Words, Pain, Patience, and Progress, which just literally is a book of quotes and different Bible verses and things that I use to get through my pain. But March the 2nd of this year, Read Across America Day, they became authors of their own book called I Am Me, You Are You.
Wow, beautiful. And so how has that been with them being authors? How's that experience been?
It's been a great experience. I think the only thing, they're 10. So they are really humble and the people know who they are. And really look to them to be, still be kids, but I guess they put a different type of rank or look at them because it's like they're 10 and they're authors, and who does that, right? Where do you even would have thought at 10 years old to write a book and say it's really about encouraging kids how to have their own self-identity because they're twins. And so they don't understand what me and their dad have done for them. I think as time go on, they will, but it's been a great journey just being able to share the books, especially in the school systems. We're about to partner with a company as well who wants to donate the books and internationally to help other kids understand that it's okay to have your own self-identity. You don't have to follow others and you can love yourself. So, I am leveraging their book in a different way. than they can imagine. But they like to just, like when we do vendor opportunities, they sell the book. But if it was up to them, they'll just give the book out to everybody. And that's not what we need to do.
Right. Just want to get in everybody's hands.
Yeah.
But we got to make an exchange for that, though. It's business. It's business. Right?
Exactly.
So what is like some of the biggest changes you've seen in your daughters over the past 5 years, with them in business? Like what skills have they developed over the years?
I don't even want to call it a skill, but it's the skill of how to make money, right? How to hustle.
Okay.
Right. Okay. So if hustle was a skill,
right.
It clearly they understand it. But I think the most important thing on a serious note is teaching them how to earn money, how to save money, and to know what to spend the money on, what's important, right? So it's those balance and checks of saying, 5 years ago, they had no concept of what it meant to really have money in the bank or really knowing what it means. So they have a green light credit card, right? So me as and their dad as a parent, we can add money and if they complete chores and stuff. But the great part of that, the reason I bring that up is because them having their own business, they can earn money, and the money that they earn can be placed on their credit card. But it's within boundaries, right? They're still 10. So there's still guidelines. There's still things that I have to discipline them and say, hey, girls, you got to get this done, or your room is not clean, or you're not getting good grades. So we still, as parents, guide them in a sense to say 5 years to now, we've seen a tremendous growth and maturity level, but having a better concept of what it means to have your own money.
Right. And then, what are some of the challenges you've seen over the past 5 years with your children in entrepreneurship, and how did you overcome those challenges?
I'm going to say it's still a challenge. It's really keeping them motivated.
Okay.
Keeping them motivated and then keeping them engaged on the inventory, understanding, your profit margin, understanding what your revenue is. And so those terms to them, it's the challenge for me is really finding ways to put that in layman's terms for 10 years old, right? Because they're not learning that. But as a business owner, it's important to know your numbers. So it's trying to help them understand that, if mommy goes and spend $100 on your products, on your beads and all the things that you need, and then you go out and only make, $50, then what is your return on your investment, right? So it's helping them understand that when you're going out and you're selling, you have to know how much it costs to actually buy your product, how much money you've made, and the difference is what your return is.
Okay.
So that's difficult for me as a parent because I get it, right? And it's like you want your kids to just naturally have that sense of business, but you got to teach them.
Yeah. With them being so young, it's trying to bring it down to that level where it's digestible for them.
Yeah.
This is somewhat difficult. Right. So we there's plenty of parents out there with children that have that, that desire to be entrepreneurs, young kids. What are some best practices and tips that you would suggest to a parent with a child that's just getting started in entrepreneurship?
I would first thing is say, constantly encourage your child or your children when it comes to that, right? Encouragement is important because, as I just mentioned, with my twins, they can become disengaged. So motivation is going to be important. Also, I would say support them and what they want to do. Make sure that it's not your dream, but you're creating a dream for them. Because sometimes as parents, we get so boggled down that we want our children to be the best, right? And we want them to shine. But sometimes we put too much pressure and we reflect what we want onto our children, which causes them not to want to do what they like. So find a way to allow them to be creative, allow them to dream, allow them to plan what they want to do for their business. And then I would say, as you go away, help them learn the basics of finance. That is so important. No matter, to me, like I said, what age they are, you still need to teach them a basic understanding because as they get older, they can have a better understanding. Because one thing I realized when I was growing up and when I think about financial literacy, they didn't teach us the basics of finance in high school or even elementary school, right? Or middle school. They didn't teach us about credit. So we learned about credit after we got out of high school, and we was like, oh, we want to go buy all the name brand clothes and we want to be hip and cool. And then the next thing you know, by 21, you're in debt.
Right.
Right. So the goal is to help them, teach them, give them a plan, allow them to create the life they desire.
Right. Okay. Great tips. Great tips. All right. So what's next for M&M Creative Arts? I guess what the children, I know school's about to start up again, but what else do you have lined up for them?
Right now they're working on, they launched a subscription box for girls between the ages of 6 and 12. And their subscription box is geared towards inspiring young girls to love themselves. So it's all about, being humble, being great. It's all about the being, right? What does it mean to be? And so they each month, they're now being tasked to actually help come up with different things that they will put in the subscription box. So they'll have their lip gloss, the t-shirt, the journal, but it's really around now, how do they continue that momentum and creating their own list of inventory that would go into the subscription box. They also are continuing to probably start working on a book series that we've been talking about. And so it's really, again, it's a lot. When I think about what's going on in the world, I think about the mental health. I think about our kids dying. And I know that I have a voice, right? And a voice that influenced a lot of individuals within my circle and in the community in which I serve. So my goal to help the girls develop a series of books that would allow children to understand what it truly means to love yourself. And that sounds so simple, but it's so hard, as much as we want our kids to understand that they don't have to be so engaged in, the social media. There's so much more in the world that they can be doing. So, we have those two things that we're working on. And then they're always out vendoring at different events. So I'm keeping them busy. And then they're going to middle school. They're in the IB program. So they're going to be busy.
Yeah, like their mama.
Yeah, they're about to like turn it up a whole entire notch. And I have been out of school for a very long time. So, but actually we'll both be back in school because I'm actually starting my doctoral program at Virginia Union as well.
Okay,
so
beautiful. Add another accolade to the to the long list of initials after your name.
Yes, next time it'll be introducing Dr. Gilbert.
Yes, ma'am. Great. I love it. And I guess, outside of that, what do you have going on? Like, what's next for you?
Wow. What's next for Danielle? So I am actually just finished. I'm still working on it, but the book is actually pretty much done. I'm finalizing the final manuscript. But back in April, I kind of touched on earlier when you asked me about how did I overcome leaving the corporate world, right? And I mentioned to you that I went into a period of depression and anxiety. And so back in April of this year, I decided to do an anthology book. Some people call them collaboration books, but I have 8 amazing women who said yes, who is going to be a part of this project that is being, the book is going to be released in August, and it's called The Unvoiced Pain, Releasing Depression and Anxiety. And I'm launching the actual book on August the 7th, but we're having our book launch conference on August the 27th here in Richmond, Virginia, at U-Turn Incorporated. And it's going to be from 1 to 5. And these amazing authors with 2 dynamic keynote speakers will actually be getting on the stage telling you about their story, how they overcame it. So I am super excited. And that's what I've been working on and will be working on for the next 27 days to make sure that this event is dynamic and these women share their story. We think about the mental health that's going on in the world. Everyone needs to get a seat. It's limited seating, but everyone needs to be in the building.
Okay. And where can people get more information on that event? As well
Absolutely. So if they would like to attend the event and purchase their general admission or VIP ticket, they can simply go to www.unvoiced, UNVOICED, Pain, PAIN.com. So it's literally www.theunvoicedpain, and you can purchase your ticket. And then if you needed to get in contact with me, you literally can go to www.DanielleMGilbert.com.
Okay, great. And then also, if people want to, I guess, support your daughters and their business, where can they find your daughter's work? Your daughter's work.
So they're on Facebook and Instagram, and that handle is literally the letter M, the word and, the letter M, Creative Arts. So that's on Facebook and Instagram. And then if you want to go to their website, it's literally www.mnmcreativearts.com. I made it all simple.
Okay, great. So again, thank you for taking the time to come on the show. We appreciate it. And any last thoughts before we wrap up?
No, I just want to say thank you for this amazing opportunity. And for those who are listening and can hear the sound of my voice, just know that, as parents, you're in charge, right? But as you are in charge, make sure that you allow your children the space to be creative, love them, hug them, and know that whatever you want them to do or be, they can. You just have to make sure that you create that path for them to do so.
Beautiful. Very well said. All right. Again, thank you for coming on. And again, everyone, thank you for tuning in to the Malik's First Job podcast. And we will see you next week. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right.
Generational wealth.